baby, listen to me speaking. No matter what, just say the word.
Pop, Perswayable. What's going on, everybody? So this is going to be my Geisha guide. I'm going to try to be as in-depth as I can explaining how to use her, what to use her with, and really to talk about the persona build, the possible attachment that she should have, and some tricks as to what will help you actually be able to defeat some people. For those who don't know, Cura is a top hunter in the game, and Cura absolutely loves Geisha. I actually like Geisha more than Joker. I do think that Joker can be better, but it's situational early game. You really got to hope that you get those attachments. So for Geisha, what we're going to talk about, like I said, is what we're going to use for the trait and everything else. So let's get right to it. So this is my persona build for her. So this is more of a veteran build. And the reason being so is that I don't invest in confined space. You don't need confined space with Geisha. So that's the building the fences up on objects when you climb through them to prevent the anti-loop. But with her, she can dash through objects with the person looking right at her. So she doesn't need this. And I'll show you how to do that trick later on in the video. I invest in Berserker. Berserker increases attack speed by 25% when somebody's on the rocket chair. This is the difference between being able to kill a coordinator coming in for the rescue. We also have announcement, so for 5 seconds after the exit gates are open, you're going to be able to see where they are, the survivors. That's important if you run teleport, so you know which gate to teleport to. And then obviously I use detention, which is a one-shot kill and at the end game, and tinnitus, which allows you to see somebody for 36 meters. And what that does is that when somebody comes within 36 meters, you get that earmark in the upper corner of your screen. And that's really important. So here you're going to see the traits, and really it's between teleport, blink, and excitement. I think teleport you're going to see more with Geisha, and you're going to see excitement sometimes if you think that that there's two coordinators or whatever. Blink is a risk because if you use blink with her, it's really easy for you to miss that long, narrow attack. So I don't really use blink with her as much. And then, of course, as she maximizes her presence means it's that indicator over there where you see next to, it's to the right of the traits. If she maxes that out, it just means her dash really is a lot quicker, which is bad for the entire team because then it's harder to counter that. So yeah, so look at Geisha. Everybody says she looks so scary. Honestly, I would let her hit me even if it meant to kill me, because if she had to kill me, that means she has to touch me. I'm okay with that. All right, let's move on. So let's show you trick number one. So this is me and Yo Mama. He's a top survivor. And so I want to teach you guys how to go through pallets while they're looking at you. So you saw how I first dashed here and it failed. Watch him looking at me. He's looking at me, but I turn my camera to the side, or my character, and you could still go through objects. This is one of her most attractive features in the game, all right? So even when someone's looking straight at you, if they're even a little distance behind that pallet, you can squeeze through. So we're going to show you again. I'm looking to the side. Even though he's looking at me, my character is looking away, and I can still dash. And that is one, you have to get that skill down. You cannot use Geisha until you get that skill down. That's one of the most important skills that you need to know how to do. And as a survivor, the counter to it is to really stay at the pallet like what your mama's doing right now. And then typically you wait for the Geisha to break the pallet and you start running to your next area. So the minute that you really back away from that pallet is the minute that somebody can easily get you. So this is actual gameplay. I actually will use the hunter's name because I'm not kiting them, right? So I'm giving them praise. And this is Cura. And watch what Cura does. This is actually a rank match against me. And this was early when Cura and Geisha was here, and I didn't really know about the trick. So watch this. I thought that I was all comfortable. She goes right through it. That wasn't blink. And so like that's important. You need to get that trick down. So that was Cura kicking my butt right there. And being able to turn to the side and still being able to charge through with me even looking at her. You see how far away I'm from that pallet? So if I hug that pallet, she wouldn't have been able to do that. So I'm going to show you trick number two that really nobody knows about, and you should know about this because it's really cool. So when you put somebody on the rocket chair with a Geisha, all right, she has this cool little trick where if you use her skill that pops you up in the ear, all right, so I'm going to do it now. All right, so you see how I'm in the ear. When somebody goes for the rescue, when you drop down and swing, you have no recovery speed for your second attack. So people don't know that. So let's put that in perspective. So I'm going to jump up, right? I'm going to jump up in the air, and I'm going to wait for somebody to come for the rescue. They're going to come for the rescue, and this takes a lot of practice, guys. I'm going to drop down, and as I'm dropping down, I'm going to swing and hit once. And then immediately I have no recovery, and then I can hit again, see? So I hit once, and I hit twice, Terra Shock. That's that with no recovery speed. And it's one of her greatest... let me make this clear though, guys. This does not really occur too much in rank match. You have that persona Berserk, which is the increase in 25% attack rate, which means really you want to hit somebody as far away from the rocket chair, recover, and then hit them again before they come close. Another important trick with Geisha is that you don't always have to climb the windows, right? That's why you don't have to do Confined Space. You can, as long as you get that red indicator with a view, see that? You can go right through walls, and you can go through objects, which makes her very, very dangerous. And that's compensation for her long, narrow attack. Now I'm just gonna show regular gameplay, try to tie it up. So remember the tinnitus that I told you about in the persona tree? Well, this is what makes it easier looking for people. See how it's in the left indicator now? Right now I know people are near me, right? So you don't gotta waste time in areas where you don't see that mark. So it really does help you try to find people. So I'm gonna tie in a bunch of the stuff I was talking about in one match. So you're gonna see me get stunned here by the forward. Now watch, I don't take the pallet down. I spam my skill, and I'm able to get through it. You see how I did that? And I'm actually going to miss that somehow, which is kind of crazy. And now I don't recommend doing this, but he's looping me, so I decided to use my teleport. It actually works, and I'm able to hit him through that window. Remember, Geisha has a good reach within the window, not always against the pallet, but the window. So, and now this is me just waiting so I can get through the pallet. It'll actually take me longer to break down that pallet than what it would to just wait for that dash. So now this is also why forward isn't really useful. Typically in a rank match, I'd be ignoring him because his debuff is so horrible. But watch this. So that's him using his football, and it's useless. It really is against the Geisha. He was able to do a good juke there. Remember, your attacks are long and narrow, so it's easier to juke her than to juke the clown. So a lot of people say, how do you juke the Joker? Well, you want to run up against a wall typically and just hope he hits the wall instead of you. So remember that trick that I taught you guys earlier in the video about how you jump down? And well, sometimes that's going to not work, and that's why I use Berserk. So watch this. So I'm going to hit him, right? And now Berserk increases my attack speed by 25% while someone's on the rocket chair. So I'm allowed to hit, and then my recovery speed is a lot faster. And therefore I can get a second attack in there, and I was able to get the forward down again. So that's why I invest in Berserk on the persona tree. And I'm only going to say this one last time. Jumping up in the air and trying to hit somebody on the way down, it's one tactic, but it's not the most popular tactic. Most popular tactic is trying to get as far away from the rocket chair and hitting the rescuer before they come close, using Berserk with that 25% attack recovery speed, and then hitting them again. And Berserk only occurs when somebody's on the rocket chair, right? So you have to make sure you hit somebody far away from the rocket chair. If they rescue somebody, then you're not able to capitalize on the 25% recovery. And remember, you have tinnitus, right? Which means that as you are venturing away from the rocket chair, you'll get an indicator when somebody's within 36 meters. You'll actually know when someone's going in for the rescue. You'll have time to hit them. And for some reason, people don't know this, is that the machines wiggle, guys. After about 30% of being decoded, they start to wiggle. And so you kind of want to make sure you're keeping an eye out on those machines. So if you don't have anybody near you, or you need to be a little bit more flexible around the map, you wait and you see which ones start to wiggle. And the ones that are starting to wiggle, that's when you teleport over there. And for some reason, some people don't know that. So I just want you to know that the machines do wiggle after 30% of decoding. And that's when you're going to really be able to use that teleport and get into somebody's face. And that's why teleport can be so dangerous. So you're not just blindly teleporting. And you got to remember too that with the persona announcement, if they do open the exit gates, then you can see them for 5 seconds. So vision's very important in this game, and that's why I always invest in announcement. That's really good in conjunction when you're using teleport for sure. Even if you're not using teleport, it'll tell you which direction they're going to, which is the difference between being able to get to them in time and not. And with that announcement perk, it gives you incredible flexibility end game, right? Early game and end game are the most important parts of the game. And with having an announcement, you'll have vision. So when you're able to see them for 5 seconds, think about it. If you've already killed one person and you have one person on the rocket chair, and then you see two people highlighted running towards the same exit gate, that's actually going to give you flexibility to leave the rocket chair in certain circumstances and go for the win instead of just camping for the tie. And also what you're going to see is me using my tinnitus right now. Tinnitus is that left indicator up in the top corner that I talked about earlier. And like I said, early game, that helps because then you're not wasting time in areas where that doesn't pop up. It pops up automatically. So I know there are the other popular persona builds some high tiers use. They'll actually get rid of tinnitus and they'll get rid of announcement and they'll invest their points and increase rocket chair duration or decrease depending on how you say it. And that is essentially putting people on the rocket chair and having them die quicker. I think it saves you about 5 or 6 seconds, but I don't think that's worth it. I like the tinnitus way better with the announcement. I think that the benefits are way better than just killing somebody 5 seconds faster, although I acknowledge that killing somebody 5 seconds faster has a significant advantage. Every second counts in this game for sure. And another question I get is, when do you camp versus when you do not camp? So in this game, I'm actually not camping. However, I always recommend camping your first kill because your entire build is based on killing the person who comes in for the rescue. All high tier teams have a coordinator, every single one. So your build is really based on the ability to venture out, get that tinnitus mark up, hit the coordinator far away from the rocket chair, and being able to get to the rocket chair before her and hitting her again and killing her before the rescue. Now you have two people down relatively early or mid-game, and you're either going to tie at worst, but usually you always win the match after that. So in this case, I have to camp. They did a decent job in this game where, I was able to secure my first kill, but a lot of these cipher machines, I have the sound off. A lot of these cipher machines are actually all at like 95%. So instead of just going for the tie and securing a kill, I keep getting two people down and a third person needs to keep running and rescuing them, which means that they have no time to decode the machine. So the people who complain that camping is not a viable trick, I'm a top survivor. I don't complain about top hunters camping. They need to secure their kills. They're at a disadvantage in this game. So that's what you need to do at times. Because at the end of the day, if you have a coordinator on a team, it makes no sense just to leave so the coordinator gets a free rescue without using her flare gun. It literally makes no sense at all. People who make this argument have no idea how to play the game. I'm sorry. But it's just getting so frustrated now with everybody being like, oh my God, that hunter was a camper. Okay, well, that means that the hunter secured their kill because somebody got killed too early in the game. As you guys can see, if you do good early game, you're going to force me to move. I'm actually showing you gameplay where I was forced to move. And I was forced to move because they did a pretty relatively decent job early game. So if you want to beat a camping hunter, the best way to do it is improve your kiting ability so you're not going down in the first 30 seconds of the match, or I'm absolutely going to camp you because my entire build is based on killing you and the rescuer, especially if it's early game. But if you do good early game, you're going to force me to move around because I'm going to lose the match. So the most important thing for a survivor, don't die in the first 70 seconds. Second most important thing, make sure you last at least 60 seconds during kiting. You'll pretty much win the game every time. If not win, then you'll at least tie the match. And if you tie a match in top rank, you don't lose as many points. All right, so to summarize all of this up, the best to my ability, because I'm kind of going off of the top of my head here, okay? Her persona build is essentially based on her ability to know the strengths and weaknesses of each map. That's why I don't have confined space. So there's no reason to have confined space because my priorities are not on the strongest parts of the map. There are strong parts of the map and weak parts of the map. For instance, in Sacred Hospital, outside the hospital, in between the little house and the big hospital over there, usually there's two cipher machines. It's pretty open, and you have a good ability to kill survivors there. Another weak spot can be technically in Arms Factory near the tiny house. There's a little bit of flexibility there if they know what they're doing. But I'm not wasting my time typically in the big Arms Factory. Although Geisha will have an easier job over there instead of Joker. Red Church, sort of the same thing. The weak side of that could technically be where all the pallets and the broken walls are. I find it a little bit easier to kite on the other side of the map, but that's my only preference. That's my own preference. And when you go to Lakeside by that little house is a little difficult for survivors to really meaningfully be able to kite you for a long time. Remember, you can always kite with whatever you have. It's just their strong parts and weak parts. So this Geisha build relies on your knowledge of the strong parts and the weak parts of each map, which may be a video that I do later down the road, because I am not using Confined Space, because you're not wasting your time in the infinite loop. And even if they can do the infinite loop, you have the ability to charge through the windows with the first trick that I gave you. All right, the Persona build is also based on Berserker, which is a 25% increase rate in attack speed or attack recovery speed when there is somebody sitting down on the rocket chair. So with that in conjunction with tinnitus is your ability to move away from the rocket chair, wait for that ear logo to pop up. Now you know somebody's within the vicinity, and your objective is to hit them as far away from the rocket chair as possible, because then your attack is going to recover a lot quicker, and you have the ability to rush that coordinator and finish off the kill. You could even teleport too. Remember, you can teleport on these rocket chairs. I also use announcement because if you do have a questionable early game or a bad early game and they cut you for a while, that with detention is your ability to see which gate they're going to and being able to really teleport over there and get in that one shot. You just need to be careful because a lot of them know that or presume that you have announcement, so they may pretend to go towards that gate for 5 seconds and turn around. That's a counter as well, so you need to be careful of that measure. Remember as well with the Geisha that you really want to remember that your strength is the windows, not necessarily the pallets. The windows, if you remember, I missed my attack on the forward the first time. And the reason being so is because I didn't hug the window. I didn't touch the window. I slightly swung my attack too far before the window, and I ended up hitting the windowsill. So what you need to do is if you want to try and hit the person climbing a window, you need to really make sure that your character is touching the windowsill with their waist, like you're literally hugging the window and you're reaching inside that window for the attack. Now the counter to that for survivors is usually when they go through a window, they're typically hooking right or hooking left. If they hook right, then it's harder for the Geisha to get you because she's right-handed, so she's going to hit the wall. But sometimes you're going to hook left as well because that's what your exit strategy is. So with Geisha, you want to make sure you're really leaning into that window when you attack. You can see again with the forward, the first attack through the windowsill I missed. The second I got him, and the reason being so is I made sure that I was really reaching outside of it and not swinging too soon. And on the last note, I'm very sorry for how long this guide is, but I get to ask these questions all the time. And if you're not extremely in-depth and thorough, people are always going to have more and more questions. And so I'm doing my best to try to answer everything in one video. So I apologize for its length. But in order to become a good player, you need to be fully educated. We do this in the medical field, right, with patients and clients and their families. They need to be educated on proper positioning when they have a musculoskeletal issue or whatever the case is. So you need to be educated before you can actually do it, right? We see this in the medical field, we see this in the football, we see this in everything. And it's the same thing with the game. So although this is a long video, now that you understand all of the dynamics of her, whether it's the first trick, the second trick that I showed you, or the trick on how to protect a survivor on that rocket chair, or the ability to use teleport and use an announcement and tinnitus and Berserk, remember that there's always other Persona builds out there. I just don't like them as much. I think this is the best one. I'm only tier 4 as of now with the Hunter. I focused a lot of time with Survivor, of course. But I have a 92% win rate as of now. I'm sure that's going to dip as I get up to tier 5s. It's just, you know, in this game, it totally benefits the Survivor. It's really difficult as a Hunter in the top matches. So, yeah, guys, I hope you guys appreciated this. Catch me on Twitch. My name's Perswayable. I start tomorrow. And if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask them. I'll do my best job to try to answer them all in the YouTube comments. I keep kind of burping. And I don't want to like redo this video now. So like I'm exhausted. I've talked so much into this stupid phone. All right, I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.